David Rowan up next, who writes, is the editor of Wired in the UK. He writes monthly columns in GQ, Condé Nast. Has been the editor of Guardian websites, made films for Channel 4. But I think probably most excitingly, he gets to speak to lots of cool people about lots of cool things. And he's going to share some of those cool things with us today. So, David, over to you.
Thanks very much. I feel like if this was a Tony Robbins seminar, we'd all be kind of ripping off our shirts and jumping on the chairs now shouting, mobile, mobile. But that is kind of where it's all going. So I'm going to give you a few case studies of stuff I've seen being used. I think it's quite exciting. We'll try and have a little workshop to try and work out what is making these innovations actually work. And some of them you will think are wired, and some of them you will think are tired or worse, expired, and will be interactive, because it's that kind of world. So if this is a really, really crap presentation, it's because my karma's just ebbed away. You remember that bit in The Graduate when Mr. Maguire says to Benjamin, Benjamin, I've just got one word for you, one word. Well, it's not going to be plastics now, is it? I mean, everything, all the value, all the attention is going to this thing. And I'm going to give you a couple of numbers, a few stats, to show why we're probably living through the start of the most exciting commercial opportunity of our lifetime. And this is the moment where we can capitalize on it. So the data says we're no longer in the desktop era. We're now in the mobile era. And this is about a year ago when the number of mobile internet devices overtook the number of desktop internet devices sold for the first time. That's smartphones and tablets. And this was way ahead of when the analysts were predicting it. So you could say we're officially now in the mobile era. But most people aren't on the mobile internet, even though they've got mobile. So 6 billion people with mobiles, but only a third of those are actually on the internet. So there's this huge but very fast rising curve of internet adoption. But the number of devices connected to the mobile internet is just growing in an extraordinary way. So if you look at the history of computing, a little green dot in the 90s when the PC started becoming mainstream, there were maybe 100 million of them around the world. If you look at the internet on the desktop, about 10, 12 years ago, getting on for 1 billion connections. But already now, the estimates are that there are more than 10 billion connected devices, and that's not just your tablets and your phones, it's your cars, it's your gaming devices, it's your home entertainment systems, and that's only going to keep growing. And they're all talking to each other. So this idea that there is this technology, there is this thing you go to get on the internet, that's kind of about to disappear. You'll be connected, it will be like electricity. Which is why I hate it when you go into a hotel and they charge you like 24 euros a day to go on the internet. I mean, it's the equivalent of charging someone to run the bath or to turn the light on. And then you run the bath and the water's cold, and you go back to the desk and they say, oh, you didn't say you wanted the hot water or the faster internet so you can actually get your emails. That's going to be 40 euros. So I think we should boycott hotels that charge for Wi-Fi. So the number of smartphones projected to be sold is about to hit 1 billion. And there are very, very low-cost ones coming from Chinese companies like Huawei. And there's whole areas of Africa that are being connected in the moment, really. The cables have just been laid by these big ships and submarines. So this is the moment. But what people do with their mobile is quite interesting. They spend a lot more money. It's much more seamless. It's much more smooth. So PayPal, a couple of years ago, they said $141 million was spent on mobile. 2010, 750 million, but last year, 4 billion of mobile PayPal payments. So that is a kind of curve any business needs to be on. And it doesn't have to be a high-tech version of the mobile device. So one of the classic case studies of, wow, that's changed behavior, came from Kenya, when Vodafone's local subsidiary worked with the British government's development arm to create a service that allowed people in a pretty unbanked country. There's not many ATMs in rural Kenya. Not many people have bank accounts. But everybody has a very basic Nokia a very basic second-generation cell phone. So it created a way that you could send money to each other using that person's phone number and a PIN number. You could send up to a couple of £100. And it's grown. It's called M-Pesa, so much that now the estimates are that about a quarter of the GDP of Kenya now passes through this system. And in fact, Barclays' little innovation, I think, may have leaned quite a lot on this idea. So we're learning, we're innovating with the help of people in Africa. Now, this is an incredibly complicated line, but I'll tell you what it means. The number of computations you can do with a device in the last 50 or 60 years. But that's an exponential scale. So the numbers on the left have gone from 1 to 10 quadrillion. And the curve, if we were to stretch it out, would go way up there. And all that means is this thing now has the computing power of the rockets NASA sent to space. And we're kind of taking it for granted. 3 years ago, if you'd have said, and you'll be able to talk to it and it will answer you. But now we're taking Siri for granted. As long as Siri doesn't recommend Nokia phones, Siri will be all right. So the speed of adoption, again, is changing consumer behavior. 2 years for tablets to get to 15 million units when it was the laptop era's birth. That was 15 years. And again, Richard talked about 4G. We're not even there with 3G. And this is a global market. Everybody's one click away from your ad, your product. Go to China and India. It's barely started, but it's coming. Anyway, if that was too many numbers, this is the trend. This is where it leads. That's why this is no longer the richest man in the world. He's been overtaken by this man, who's Carlos Slim, who made his billions out of mobile. So one thing I hear quite a lot when I'm talking to investors is it's got to be solo-mo. That's where the money is. And it's a term coined by this man, John Dare, who's a venture capitalist in the West Coast at Kleiner Perkins. He invested in some nimble little garage startups like Google and Amazon. And he's now saying, I will only invest in companies that are social plus local plus mobile, because that's where attention is, that's where transaction is, and that's where data is. You can know what the customer wants in real time. So this is partly Facebook and the social graph, friends recommending things, which is a challenge to existing models of persuasion. It's also things like this. This is Jack Dorsey's business, The Square, which means anybody can take a credit card, whether you're at a cart boot sale, whether you're a taxi driver. There's one coming to Britain about now, a Swedish company, iZettle, this little device you plug into your smartphone. So these sorts of businesses are challenging, are disrupting the existing banking system because you don't need a merchant services account. You don't need to go to Barclaycard. You don't need to go to MasterCard. You can deal directly with these devices, and they generally take 2 or 3% commission, but they make it seamless. And social is coming into all this. So there's lots of clever uses of social. KLM allowed you to choose your seat based on your social connections. But I think there's great opportunities if you can come up with creative ways to tap into people's desires to share with people they trust and people they know. And you can start to understand why Mr. Zuckerberg spent $1 billion on a little company like Instagram. Because if you look into the prospectus for their IPO, there's a line that's a bit concerning if you're an investor. We do not currently directly generate any meaningful revenue from the use of Facebook mobile products, and our ability to do so successfully is unproven. So maybe that's one of the reasons he wanted a product that people are using in their mobile devices, because they have to get there incredibly quickly. So I was talking last week to Natalie Massenet, who set up Net-a-Porter, and I was quite awed by the reliance they now have on the mobile device and the fact that the desktop, as they see it, is disappearing. So she said, at the moment, 20% of their sales are through mobile devices, mainly iPads now. By next year, they think it will be 50% of their sales, and by the end of the decade, as she said, the desktop will be dead, which is quite a transition. It's not very far away. So I'm going to show you some examples of things I've seen. So I was at MIT's Media Lab a couple of weeks ago, where they've developed a way to measure your emotional response to ads using the webcam. It's a company they've spun off called Affectiva, and you can see when an ad is playing, whatever people say in the focus groups, what their facial expressions are at each bit of the advert. This is an ad for a Chevy. And it's coming from a part of MIT that's actually studying how computers can learn to read your emotions. Originally, it was all about what can we do to help people with autism interact more seamlessly. But they realized, Ros Picard is the professor there, that once you've learned, actually this person is frowning, they're unhappy, that is not a genuine smile, you can test it with quite large numbers of people online. You can just sign up through the website, and you can see which bits of the ad seem to be pleasing people, whether or not they're admitting it, which bits are causing them concern. If you go into their lab at MIT's Media Lab, there's a big screen about the size of this, projecting what they're seeing coming in. So there's a camera at the door, except you don't see your face, you see a smiley, and it's either a frown or a smile, depending on whether they think you're happy to be there, and it's quite spooky. So I'm going to show you a few other ads that I think have been doing some creative things using mobile. Not all ads, more ways to engage with people. Just like to get your take on it. This is one for Audi.
When statistics show that today's roads are not an intelligent place, Audi prepared to launch a marketing initiative for the new Audi A6, a car specifically engineered to analyze the road, anticipate situations for the driver, and enhance the driving experience. Our mission? Raise awareness and spark a conversation about the state of our roads. Our idea? The Road Frustration Index. Developed in partnership with the Sensible City Lab at MIT, the Road Frustration Index aims to quantify factors that lead to driver frustration, such as traffic, incidents, weather, and driver sentiment. The algorithm that drives the index utilizes historical and live streaming weather and traffic data from the National Weather Service and Navtech to calculate the scores of 30 U.S. metro areas. A Twitter feed activated by keyword search terms illustrates how drivers feel at a given moment. In all, drivers could see their score, compare it to other locations, take advantage of innovative tools from Audi partnerships that can help them do everything from report potholes to find cheap gas, plus share the experience across social networks. The results? More than just a clever way to launch a car, Audi created an ongoing study that could make the roads a more intelligent place for all drivers. The media took notice, and in the future, more motorists, urban planners, and highway engineers will too.
Wired or tired? I think it's quite cool. What I think is interesting is we're giving out tons of data, exabytes of data, and if you can find useful ways to use it to help people. So there was a reference to a company called Waze, which uses people who have signed up their mobile phones to determine the speed of traffic. And then, having signed up, you get access to the real-time map of traffic speeds, and then members can warn of speed traps ahead. That amount of data that we're generating for the smart people who can turn it into information is a real market advantage. So Eric Schmidt, the Google boss, said a while ago that in all human history, until about 2003, collectively we generated 5 exabytes of data, 5 billion gigabytes of data, from cave paintings to books. But now we generate that much every 2 days, and the pace is accelerating. So the winners are going to be the people who can understand that data. Here's another one.
Go Airlines imagined it like this. First, you had to type in your mobile number on the banner. After only a few seconds, you received a call and a voice gave you the flight instructions. To control Go's airplane, all you had to do was use the numbers on your mobile that worked as a remote control. You could fly over the company's destinations featured on a famous Brazilian travel website. making maneuvers like dives and loops while you checked for special rates for tickets. And if you decided to buy a ticket, you just needed to press a key to go straight to Go Airlines homepage. Go Airlines imagined and turned your phone into a remote control to say that flying became easier with earlier check-in via iPhone or mobile. Go Airlines. You can always go further.
We're a Brazilian airline, trying to get more engagement. Not rocket science, but it's playful. And I think, people want to waste a bit of time, they want to have a bit of fun. You probably won't go back and do it a second time. But again, humour is a great way in. So those clever people at Nike.
Shoes, and it pretty much changed the sport. Ever since then, we've been trying to figure out how to change it again. In 2010, we had an idea. What if we took everything that was great about Nike Plus, added all the features that were on our wish list at the time, and then turned the entire thing into a mobile app? New product, new technology, new experience that could be used by any runner, anywhere, even if you aren't wearing Nike shoes. It was a bold leap, but one that would ultimately produce another game changer, the Nike Plus GPS app. With Nike Plus GPS, you can go for a run in any location worldwide, and the app uses GPS technology to track your route and produce a visualization. Your pace and progress are measured and displayed on a color-coded map, so you can see where you logged your fastest miles and where you may have struggled, with the elevation of your run visually broken down. You can also let your friends on Facebook know when you've begun a run. When they like your run or drop a comment, you'll hear a live cheer of encouragement. You can even sign up to get celebrity attaboys.
You ran all week. Who does that?
And if the weather doesn't cooperate, you can easily switch to indoor mode to let the accelerometer track your workout. So how did our idea go over? The numbers speak for themselves. With the Nike Plus GPS app, we took the preferred platform of the world's largest running community, made it even cooler, and put it right in the palm of your hand.
So, a shoe company selling shoes by building a community and using the clever things inside these mobile devices, the GPS sensor, the accelerometer, in a creative, new way. And I know Nike's been mentioned before. I've been trying out for the last 2 weeks their Fuel Band, which is my nearest thing to a wristwatch. It's telling me I have done 4,870 steps today, and it's got an estimate of how many calories I've burned. But there's a little red line that the more work I do, the more movement, it gives me a kind of pixelated reward, and I get really excited at the end of the day when I get the red flashing thing, and it's batty, but it kind of creates a warmer feeling about Nike. It's not advertising, but it's very powerful. Here's another. You've seen this one, but I'm going to go in more depth.
He is a sports expert. He believes that he can do a better job than the coach. His expertise, shouted from couches and the stands, goes unheard, but not anymore.
It's your turn to be the coach.
So this is the South African version. I was trying to work it out what made that successful beyond the rewards, beyond the tickets and the cash prizes. And it's partly the validation. It makes you
Hey, coach.
cool.
Captain.
You can tell your friends, you can share what you've done. It allows you to participate, gives you power. We want a bit more power. Here's a smart one from a TV program on CBS that they took from TV onto these devices.
Thursdays at 9/8 Central on the CW.
My name is Michael.
Notice the logo in there? Someone's helped pay for it. So why can't a TV drama seamlessly go into a game that engages you, especially if it's about spies?
South Korea is a
This
unique
is what
market.
Tesco had to do.
Tesco has been evolving itself, adjusting to the local market. It even changed the name itself from Tesco to Home Plus. And at last, it grew to rank number 2 in Korea. But Tesco had to overcome one obstacle, a fewer number of stores compared to the number 1 company, E-Mart. Mission: could we become number 1 without increasing the number of stores? We made an in-depth study into Koreans once more. Koreans are the second most hardworking people in the world. For them, grocery shopping once a week is a dreaded task. So we decided to approach these busy and tired people. Idea: let the store come to the people. We created virtual stores, hoping to blend into people's everyday lives. Our first try was subway stations. Although virtual, the displays were exactly the same as actual stores, from the display to the merchandise. Only one thing was different. You use smartphones to shop. Scan the QR code with your phone, and the product automatically lands in your online cart. When the online purchase is done, it will be delivered to your door right after you get home. People can relax more after work and on weekends.
And it became number 1. Tesco did. And that's quite a nice seamless integration of online and offline, which I think increasingly will happen. So it can solve social issues as well. People not saving enough money?
Impulse purchases every single day.
How can you use the mobile device and behavioural economics to try and get them to save more? You make it easier.
We are shockers when it comes to saving. We are number 23 out of 29 countries in the OECD.
The working group says we all need to save more.
We need to step back from the edge.
Marketing has done a very, very good job of creating opportunities for impulse buying. We've never created the opportunity for impulse saving.
It's an iPhone application that allows you to save. With one press of a button, you can save a predetermined amount from a transaction account straight through to your savings account.
Some innovative advertising, something that Westpac are doing.
Yeah, this was really, really cool because it's not an ad, and I think the future of ad agencies lies not in just, making ads and putting them on the TV or whatever, but in coming up with innovative business ideas for their clients.
And starting conversations. Anybody saw this at Westfield? It's turning a shopping centre into something playful and selling insurance. you get a big smile on someone's face, they're halfway there as your customer. So I just want to say one thing about QR codes, which this industry got very, very excited about. It's my favourite Tumblr. It's called Pictures of People Scanning QR Codes. There's no posts yet. I think you have to go for things that actually enhance people's lives and are simple, and not things that the industry thinks they should be doing because it makes sense on the bottom line. It's just not behaviourally something people do. They don't want to download an app to scan something. They want to play. They want to drive a car. So I'm going to leave you with Google's vision of the future, a mobile vision, which involves wearing a particular type of glasses.
Yeah. Meet me in front of Strand Books at 2. Oh man, really?
Hey there, guy. Hey there, little guy.
Sweet. Remind me to buy tickets for Monsieur Gano tonight. Where's the music section? Oh, yes, this is it. Is Paul here yet? Huh. Hey, dude, how's it going?
Want to go check out that new place I was telling you about?
Sure.
This truck's really good.
Hey, just a second. Cool.
Good to see you again.
Thanks, man.
What do you reckon? Would you wear those glasses?
See you, dude.
Probably won't work out as smoothly as this in reality, will it? There'll be
Take a photo
like
of this.
privacy breaches,
Share it to my circles.
paywalls where you can't walk down a street because it will be blocked off.
Oh, I'm running late.
And just finally,
Each day,
it's not
millions
just commercial applications, there's also health applications. Anybody who has asthma will know you can't always tell when it comes. So what if you can use mobile technology?
is a small device that attaches easily to most inhalers. It uses GPS to automatically determine the exact time and location when the inhaler is used, because revealing where people use their inhalers provides valuable clues about environmental exposures that cause attacks. Our tools help patients, physicians, and public health agencies systematically track asthma in real time so that they can put the latest information to work to better understand and control the disease.
So I get a really optimistic feel that all these tools are out there just waiting for smart people to think of clever new uses for them. And that's all I have time for, because you want to go to the pub. Thank you.